Welcome to the Boat Shed. My name is John, and this boat behind me is Antidote. She's a Liberty 458 cutter that we are doing a full restoration on. Today, something different. We are going to go visit a friend of mine and the channel. His name is Bob Perry, and he was recently inducted into the U.S. Sailing Hall of Fame for his many works, sailboat designing, as well as contributions to writing and articles. So please enjoy this candid interview as we go sit down with Bob and talk about his career. I hope you enjoy it.
It's a weird feeling. You try so hard for your whole life to be good at something. And I have no college degree. I have nothing that says you are officially good at this.
Right.
You know, it's just me convincing me and me looking at my body of work. It was a funny feeling because two other inductees, Charlie Morgan and Bill Lapworth, they're both dead. They were two of my heroes as a kid. I mean, these are the guys I worshipped, right?
Right.
Now you're going to say, "Oh, you get up on the pedestal next to them, Bob."
Right.
But you stand between Charlie and Bill. You know, put your arm around Bill. I don't seem to fit the template of that kind of guy. You know, old hippie guitar player. It's hard. You know. It's
Is this the first time where you've really felt validated in all of the work you've done?
I've had a number of awards over the years, and they're always been flattering and made me feel good. But there's just nothing like the U.S. Sailing Hall of Fame.
Right.
There's no beyond this, right?
This is the pinnacle.
Yeah. I just felt this huge, I want to say sigh of relief, or this huge weight lifted off my shoulders. Mm-hmm. That after, more than 50 years.
Yeah.
So somebody finally said, Bob, you're kind of good at this.
Well, maybe that's the first time where you've really felt that in a big public sense, but I think that people have been saying that for a really long time. When I started looking for boats that I was interested in because I wanted to do some cruising, and you Google search, good cruising boats or the best cruising boats, a lot of them that pop up are designs that are credited to you, that you designed, like the Valiant 40, the Bob 40, and I think the list just goes on. So I'd love to kind of talk to you a bit about just sort of the hallmarks of your career. Take us back to the beginning. I mean, you're on that boat from Australia. You're, 12 years old? Mm-hmm. Is that really the first time that you had been out on the water, out on a boat, that you can remember?
Apart from a fishing skiff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, was that a pivotal moment for you? On that boat, coming across?
No, I never thought of being a yacht designer.
No, okay. So when did that thought first come to mind?
About 8th grade.
8th grade.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not much further on. That's just a couple years later.
Yeah. I had to give a talk in English class and use visual aids. I thought, what am I going to talk about? Well, I'll talk about sailing. I'd never been on a sailboat in my life. Never. But I went and checked out a bunch of books from the library and started reading them and gave my talk and did well and just peaked. All of a sudden I was interested in sailboats. I was buying all the sailing magazines I could buy and collecting ones that other people were throwing away. So I ended up with huge stacks of sailing magazines. And I was focused on the designs.
So you always kind of had that bend towards design.
Yeah.
Okay. Who were at that time, 8th grade, Ballard, Washington, who were the designers that you were really
Well, of course,
admiring?
Bill Garden.
Yeah.
Phil Rhodes, Sparkman Stevens, Bill Tripp, K. Augie Nielsen.
Well, let's stop there. I mean, so Bill Garden, obviously, he's got a lot of designs out there, has a very sort of traditional style, and you actually worked for him, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I knew him.
You knew him?
We stayed friends till he died, but I never worked for him.
Okay, didn't you intern or something with him, or?
No,
Okay.
in fact,
Is that one of the facts they got wrong on the sailing thing? There you go.
They got that wrong.
There you go. Well, here, Bob, here's your chance to correct
But
that.
that's been a mistake that's been made several times. There's some kind of inference. Well, I worked for him, but I couldn't work for him because the year he offered me the job was the year before I started college, and I had to play in the band to make money.
Okay.
So because I had to pay for my own college.
Right.
And so I was traveling too much to work for him. He didn't pay,
Okay. Yeah.
so I had to pay.
There you go. Well, and if you didn't know about the band, that we can put a link up here to a video where the Bandits play their hit. So we'll pop a link up there. That would be fun. But so you're in the band. This is making money for your college.
Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't actually work for Bill, but he was would you say he was a hero?
Oh, it was a god to me.
Okay, right.
And my high school geometry teacher, who was a sailor, he could see me every day in class drawing boats. I was not doing geometry. Mm-hmm. But he knew he could see something. So he said, you need to call Bill Garden. You need to go meet Bill Garden. So I did, and I knew who Bill Garden was. I knew exactly who it was. So I called Bill and went down and met him on a Saturday and spent half the day with him.
And so you're what, 14?
I'm 15.
15.
Yeah.
And Bill is?
I don't know. He always looked like he was 80.
Okay, so he was 80 for the last.
No, he was probably 65.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool of him to meet up with a young kid like that and show what he's doing. That's really neat.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah.
That was an important day in my life.
Yeah. And so now, when did Bill Garden pass away?
He passed away about 12 years ago.
12 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, by that point, I'm sure you guys. You said you were acquaintances. You were still conversing. I mean, did Bill ever talk to you about some of the designs that you had contributed to the world of sailing? Because they're so different, your work compared to his work.
Yeah, he didn't like one of my designs.
Oh, really?
He said it looked like the help strut.
Which one is that?
It was a schooner called Jackatan.
Okay.
That was built up in Victoria.
Just a one-off?
Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't like it. And my response to him was, well, Bill, it's no Rawson 30.
Okay, yeah.
Because a Rawson 30 was one of his designs that was certainly not a thing of beauty. But that's all right.
Was that one a Faro cement?
No.
I thought I'd seen one
Rawson
up for
30 is
sale, a Pilot House Rawson 30.
No, there is a Pilot House
Oh,
Rawson
is it different
30.
maybe?
But that was, the Rawson
Okay.
30 was like the first production fiberglass boat built in the Northwest.
Oh, okay.
And they built a bunch of them.
Anyway,
But
so
not-
you guys,
not good boats.
were you guys just exchanging little barbs there? Like, was that just your rapport with him? Because I mean, you've got a pretty witty sense of humor. Did you guys kind of give those little sarcastic jabs to each other?
Oh, not really too much. He never encouraged me.
Okay.
If anything, he did what he could to discourage me.
Oh, I wonder why that was.
I don't know. If I think back to the long discussions we had, one of them 2 hours on all his lawsuits he'd been through.
Oh.
He might have been just cluing me into the reality of what it's going to mean to be a yacht designer. Mm-hmm. But he also made the comment to a mutual friend, and I know this verbatim, of all the nose pickers that walked through my door, he's the last one I expected to succeed. For me, it's, well, I'll show you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I'll show you. Okay, so let's talk about that. So you didn't work for Bill. We've established that, but you did go work for, was it Jay
Bedford.
Right.
Yeah.
So you did go work for him, but it was brief.
It was on and off for 3 years.
On and off for 3 years.
Yeah.
And is that when you were sort of doing like what you maybe call moonlighting?
That's when I was starting to moonlight, which pissed him off.
Right. So this is where maybe you got that I'll show you kind of spirit worked out a little bit.
I could see that the way Benford was doing it was, sometimes you learn what to do by watching somebody do it the way it shouldn't be done.
Okay. I know what you mean.
That can teach you a lot.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw working for Benford.
Or at least the way that you don't want to do it.
Yeah, at least the way that I don't want to do it, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I went to work for Dick Carter in Boston, where I was lucky enough to be thrown into the tower. He had this 5-story tower next to his house where we worked.
It was 5 stories?
It was a submarine watchtower that looked out over Boston Harbor.
Amazing.
The tower.
Really?
It's just called the tower. Chuck Payne worked for him.
Okay, yeah.
Yves Marie Danton worked for him. And a guy that Mark Lindsay, who's since died, worked for him. And then there was Dick. And this was the real deal. This was fancy racing boats for people with lots of money, and it's showed me more what I want to do.
Okay. Okay, so talk to me about when you decided that you knew you wanted to do this, and then you went out on your own. What was that like?
By the time I went to the tower, I'd already started work on the CT-54 design. That was my first fiberglass boat. And then I got there, and Valiant started up. So I had Valiant going.
Yep.
And then
The Valiant. Now these are the plans that you were kind of moonlighting when you were still working
Yeah.
for Jay Bedford.
Dick Carter.
Dick Carter. Okay.
And then, during Valiant, we went to the Long Beach Boat Show to promote the Valiant project, and I met Buster Hammond, who was the president of Islander, and I said, hey, you guys need a new designer. And he said, well, maybe we do. And out of that chance meeting, I got to design the Islander 28, and they built 600 of them.
Right.
And then Valiant agreed to contract me for another boat after the 40. And the Tiana 37 was just starting up.
Okay. Right.
So I'm thinking, boy, if I'm ever going to make it on my own, now's the time.
So the Valiant 40, when you designed that boat, is that not? I mean, that's credit to you. That's your design. But were you still working for Dick or at the time? So it is
Drawing at night.
okay, but it's still totally your gig.
Yeah,
though. The Valiant 40 was 100% you. You weren't just officially in your own office yet.
No, I was working for Dick in the daytime and working for myself at night.
Okay, so it was like Bob Perry Yachts,
Yep,
Cover of Darkness.
yep.
Very cool.
Some of the drawings have my Boston address on them.
Okay.
And then I told the other guys I'm quitting. I'm going to go back and start my own
So
office.
you went all in.
And they said, Dick will never let you quit. He'll just keep raising your pay so you can't go. Okay, well, bet how much he's going to raise your pay. Well, let's bet. Okay, so it came the day, and I said, Dick, I need to have a talk with you. So we went into the mansion, which that's the only time I was ever in there. Sat down, and I said, just give him the whole talk. And he hardly said a word. Sat back and waited for how much he's going to raise my pay. And he said, well, good luck to you, Bob.
Okay. Okay. So
I'm like, holy shit, be careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah, well, okay, so I imagine that was somewhat terrifying, but also really exciting.
Yeah, it means I had to do it.
Yeah, it means you had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You had no
I came
choice.
out here and got a little office down on Lake Union and went to work.
All right, so by that point you already had the Valiant 40 on the move, the Tiana 37 was either out or just about.
CT-54.
CT-54, so you had kind of a big three there.
Islander 28.
An Islander 28. So you had some level of
Income
coming in, and it was probably the right time to do it. But I can relate to making a job move like that and how scary that is. And I mean, that's why I'm here doing this.
Well, somebody was interviewing Ron Holland fairly recently, and they asked him about when he did that transition and the fear of failure. Mm-hmm. And he said, I never gave it a second thought. It never entered my mind. It was never an option.
How do you relate to that?
I thought to myself, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it just was never an option.
The spirit was more of, I'll show you, and
I can do this.
I can do this. Good, right on. Let's see if they got this right. But they reported over 380 designs and over 6,000 boats.
I'm not sure it's 380 designs. I never counted.
Should we count the rolls over here? You said there's more in the garage, do we have to?
I never counted.
Yeah, it's
a
a lot.
It's about 6,000 boats.
That's a lot of boats.
A lot of designs.
That's pretty. That's definitely a successful career. Do you remember what was like the first? Was it the CT-54 was the first boat when it was like launched? That was like your first creation. Do you remember what was that feeling like the first time that you like saw it?
Oh, the first boat was delivered to San Francisco, and the guy that owned it flew me down for the weekend.
So you'd never been to see it in the yard?
No.
First time you saw it in the water?
Never saw it in the flesh. So I got to San Francisco, and I'd seen photographs of it.
Was it in a cradle or in the water?
Yeah, in the cradle.
Okay.
But when I got to San Francisco, it was in the water. And I stayed on the boat, and we sailed it around for 2 days, and it worked like a charm, and they built 100 of them.
There you go. So the first time you saw it in the water, San Francisco,
Mm-hmm.
and it was floating the way you designed it.
Yeah, all the way I designed it, and it sailed well. Off to the races.
There you go, yeah. The Valiant 40 is one of those first early boats that you made.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the CT-54 is sort of has a bit more of the traditional kind of lines, and does it have a bowsprit? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, so it's kind of got that all going on. Now, the Valiant 40, you drew that in 1974?
Three.
Okay. And it was a very unconventional design at the time. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
So I want to know about like how it was received, and I'd love to know what made you want to design it that way.
Yeah, it's perceived as being unique. In my mind, it wasn't. In my mind, it was, coming out of the tower where all we do was race boats, right? It was just a natural extension of what makes a race boat, colliding with a natural extension of what makes a cruising boat.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's really great, yeah.
And those boats existed. And they were basically the boats that were designed to the CCA handicap rule. And they were boats that sailed well, and they had nice interiors, and they were CCA racer cruisers, we called them, or cruiser racers.
Yeah.
The Valiant came along, and I sort of was the IOR was just catching on. And so the nice family CCA boat was history. Now you had these radical, scary IOR boats. So there was a sort of hole for people that want a comfortable boat that goes fast, and the Valiant sort of fit right in there. And I came up with the term, it's a performance cruiser. And that name caught on. Mm-hmm. And when you give something a name, it's easier to like it, because you can identify it, right?
Yeah.
And the Valiant was a different enough looking boat. Oh, that's a Valiant.
Yeah.
Which helps, right?
Right, absolutely.
You like what you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's a Valiant.
Yeah.
So, and then the economics of the time were good, and the Valiant was hated by some people.
Hated?
Hated.
Yeah, the design, yeah.
Mostly by cruising people who thought, John, what's his name? Laga the Mahina, John. He came by my office. He was spitting mad. People are going to die in that boat. It doesn't have a full keel. You can't go to sea in a boat without a full keel. Well, shit, now he's got a Hallberg Rossi that's got twin rudders and a fin keel, right? But there were people that just weren't ready to drop that whole idea of the only real cruising boat is like a West Sail 32.
Right.
It's a heavy boat with a full keel.
Super heavy.
Yeah. And they
Full
just
keel.
weren't ready to leave that behind. And that's where the Valiant sort of picked up the momentum. Boat sailed well, and it was comfortable, and it would cross oceans.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that underbody design that was radically different from what the West Sail was making with the full keel, transom hung rudder, and I'm not sure what the displacement of that boat is. They're very heavy fired.
The West Sail has a displacement to length ratio of about 400.
Okay.
The Valiant was 260.
Right.
And this is back in the day when people didn't know what displacement to length ratios were, and I hammered that. This is how you judge a boat.
Now, where did that come? Where did you get that from?
I got that from Ted Brewer's writings.
Okay.
It's the first time I ever ran across that, and it made sense to me. Sail area displacement ratio, displacement to length ratio. So I began cataloging in my own time all these different boats and these numbers and looking at them. Yeah.
But now it's all on sailboatdata.com.
Yeah.
You made your own.
Yeah. But back then it was, well, I don't know where you got those numbers. You make those up? No, it's a real thing. And now it's accepted statistic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So when you're trying to sell this Valiant 40 to people, like, did you say you were at some of the shows too? So, I mean, because it wasn't a proven design yet, what kind of conversations were you having with people? Was there even one made yet, or was it just...
The first show at Long Beach, no, all we had was drawings and a model.
So you have drawings and a model, and you're telling people, this is the boat you want, and it looks so different from a West Sail 32. Everyone's probably thinking, this guy must be crazy.
But that's where I met Buster Hammond, president of Islander.
Okay.
He came up to the booth and was looking at the stuff. And
So he liked it?
He liked it. Racers understood it.
Okay.
Racers, they understood it.
The performance aspects, but what about the people that were concerned about I want to cross an ocean. I don't just want to race. I want to.
Well, if they had a history of performance boats, they understood it, and there was a couple guys that did single-hand. Francis Stokes, who's single-handed racer, he chose it for the transatlantic race, and Mark Schrader did a single-handed circumnavigation in one, nonstop. There were people that were pretty prominent in the world of racing, that kind of racing, that were drawn to the boat. And the boat just, people that knew boats liked it.
Yeah, yeah.
Cruisers that are hackers, they have no frame of reference to like it or dislike it. It just doesn't look right to them.
Right. Well, maybe that makes sense. I mean, because the boat obviously works. So people that understood the mechanics were probably more receptive of it than the people that just it didn't look right.
I had a dealer of cow boats stop me on the dock one day because one of his guy had been a long-running client of his buying cow boats, bought a Valiant.
Okay.
And this guy stopped me, and he just read me the riot act.
Yeah. How dare you?
Yeah, how dare you? And I didn't know how to react to that.
Yeah. What was the last? I mean, you primarily have made a career designing out of fiberglass, and I think you've done some other steel boats, aluminum.
Steel, aluminum, cold molded.
Okay, so a wood boat.
Yeah, I've done several wooden boats.
So I was curious to know when was the last time you designed a wood boat, but now the way I'm hearing you say it, I'm almost thinking you're going to tell me it wasn't that long ago.
Might have been that schooner, Jackatan.
Okay.
It was built up in Sydney, BC.
Okay.
And that was wood veneers over a foam core.
Oh, interesting.
So it's really composite.
It is, essentially. And
Yeah.
then is there a fiberglass layer to finish?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's really just protective.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Do you get many people that come to you for designs that are of other materials, or is it primarily fiberglass when people come to you for designs these days?
The last big project I did was the carbon cutters. Those are all
Right.
carbon fiber.
Right.
And to my knowledge, they're the only all carbon fiber true offshore cruising boat ever built.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. 4 of them?
4 of them.
Yeah.
4th one hasn't been launched yet.
Okay. Exciting. All right. What do you think you'd be doing, Bob, if you weren't designing yachts?
Don't know.
Maybe playing up at the Silver Reef with the Bandits?
We can't all be Mick Jagger.
Well, so if it wasn't boat design, do you think it'd be music?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it'd be music. I mean, if I had my choice, I'd like to be a famous operatic conductor.
Okay.
That would be fun, but I don't think that was what I was going to do.
Okay. Conductor. So you want to be in charge?
I want to be in charge.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I worked in meat markets a lot when I was a kid, starting when I was 10 years old in Australia. I enjoyed working in meat markets. I could have been a butcher.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not. The thing is, when I decided I want to be a yacht designer, I didn't say to myself, I want to be a yacht designer. I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but I said to myself, I want to be a famous yacht designer. Famous.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, Bob, I think that's like probably the perfect time to end this chat because, by all accounts, I think you've accomplished that. You've got some of the best designs out there, and there's certainly plenty of boats that bear your name. And I know from talking with people in the sailing community, and I'm a member of the Facebook group, there's a lot of people that really appreciate your work and enjoy following along. So hopefully they're able to see this video and get a little picture into some of the hallmarks of your career. So really thank you for sharing some of those interesting stories today. And once again, just congratulations for your recognition. John. It's really great news.
Thanks.
You definitely earned it.
Yeah.
So anyway, again, we're here at Bob's design studio in Washington State, and so thankful for your time. And if you do have any interest in purchasing a used boat, Bob does lots of consultation work. He also still working on new designs. We were talking about some new designs he's working on today while we were having lunch. In the description, we'll put a link to the website where you can catch that. Also, Bob has a great book that he's written about all kinds of yacht design theories, and they have great stories in there too, so you might want to check that out. We'll put that below as well. There it is. That's the book. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time. It sounds like you've been recognized for a lifetime of achievement. Is there another way to put it?
Yes, it's not a stinking lifetime of
Let's start over again.
I got one of those over there.
Oh, we've already got that one.
Yeah.
This is a different one.